Hello and welcome to, oh God, it's already going downhill. It's episode 21 of chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast. And after last week's chapters, none of us are okay. And apparently neither is my mic. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week we continue our deep dive into Alchemised as we discuss chapters 41 through 61. Thank you, Elizabeth, for our extra chapter we got to read. But before we begin, what are we all having this evening?
Well, I'm being taken care of this week.
Thank God, because you on your own is a little concerning. She's over there just beer in hand.
She told my husband, she was like, I was definitely not at Catherine's. I had a Corona and Reese's Pieces, and James just cracked up. Okay, we have chocolate chip scones. This is just a small one. We have multiple over here, but scones. And then we have 2 different teas. I have cinnamon tea, and it's like got some brown sugar and caramel, and she has chai. That also has brown sugar and caramel. Because it was.
Hey, I also have a brown sugar chai.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cute.
Me time. It's me time. And I was a slacker this week and I didn't bake, so I'm going to be tearing up some Raisinets. Which honestly, for me, will probably be a better choice because I am so messy down here and this is just going to result in a lot less crumbs. So
100%. I got home at 5 o'clock. Okay. Listeners, we usually set to record at 5:30, 5:45. So my butt just looked up a real quick recipe that could get done in 15 minutes. Thank God.
Well, I do feel classy because they are the dark chocolate Raisinette, which is the superior Raisinette, if anyone is wondering.
Dark chocolate anything is going to be superior. You made a good choice.
All right. So we have a lot to cover. So we're going to dive in. There will be no off-topicing for the most part. Well, there probably will be, but we'll try not to.
I'm over here like, don't know who you're talking to, but...
We left off last week and Helena was kind of walking out on Farron because she was irritated with how he was trying to train her in combat. And so when we start off in chapter 41, we're back with Cain trying to train her in combat. And he tells her she needs a better knife. She's got the alchemical knife, but it's not suited for her and her resonance. So she can't morph it and like mutate it and do the things that she needs to do to make it more useful for her in combat.
That's where we start for this week?
Yes. We covered a lot. We have a lot to cover.
Sorry. That just feels like so long ago.
I know.
Okay.
Let me tell you, okay, so I like read the chapters.
You started talking, I was like, surely not.
Yes. We read the chapters. It took me this whole time. I finished the chapters late last night.
Same.
And
No, today.
I finished them last night.
and then I was like, okay, I got to do this recap. I've literally been doing this recap all day. The fact that I was going through all of these chapters again, and I realized, one, I'd missed a bunch of stuff, so I was glad I went back through it. But also, two, it doesn't get any easier to read some of this.
That's fair.
So anyways,
take a break.
I've had to take a couple breaks, which is why it took me so long.
I was like, I'm reading
to read
Heartless. I'm getting something nice and fun.
And fluffy.
I devoured Heartless because I just felt so...
Elsie Silver, Heartless.
Yes. Elsie Silver. Yeah, there's a bunch of Heartless books out there. But Elsie Silver, I needed some romance. I needed some love. I mean, this book is bad. It's
good.
It's good, but it's hard. It's rough.
Whoa, it is.
I want to be like, you have to be in a mentally good place. And I feel like I'm never in a mentally good place. But like, I thank God I'm in the place that I'm at, I think. Because there are times, especially here recently, where this would have been, I think, a lot harder to get through for me. So Cain's bugging her to get a new knife. Honestly, Cain in these sets of chapters has some really killer sets of lines that just, I'm like, get it, Cain. Because she's arguing with him that she can't get a knife. Everyone needs them. Everybody needs them more than her, especially with Luke fighting on the front lines. And Cain just says, with fire, get a better knife.
I loved that. I love like the random snarkiness that just comes out of him.
Oh,
He's
that's
so
the best.
serious all the time. And I mean, it's not like he wasn't serious here, but like, I don't know. You just get those bits of personality that are just hilarious.
Yeah. So she returns back the next time with the same knife. And Cain's, of course, obviously very irritated by that. He asks for her resonance alloy, which is the type of metal that she works best with her resonance and with her magic, so that he can bring her one, which super surprises Helena because, like, she didn't expect that from him. We find out that she was actually only refused a weapon because Ilva and Crowther wanted to see what he'd do if they didn't give her one. So once again, you kind of see that level of manipulation that's sort of happening constantly behind the scenes. They're kind of testing to see if she's making progress with him, which obviously she is. So Ilva asks her what her plan is going forward working with Cain, and Helena explains that while Cain was naturally obsessive before his injury, that array on his back and the details that he put into it has actually made him significantly worse, but that ends up working to their benefit. Ilva warns her, though, to not get attached and makes a comment alluding to that they, like, basically that they need the information that they're getting from Cain. It's more important because it keeps Luke safe. And this is the first time you really start to see Helena kind of strike back. And she gets kind of sassy with Ilva and says that she feels sorry for Cain because she realized that they're using her to manipulate Cain the same way that they use Luke to manipulate her into doing everything.
And doesn't Ilva snap back with a comment, like something to the effect of,
Well, he
at least
deserves
he
it.
deserves it.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah, well, he'll deserve it more than you do.
Yeah, like something
So
to
like,
that
at least you
effect.
don't deny it.
So then we go into chapter 42. Shizio tests her resonance and shows her she's exceptional with titanium, which is really rare. Helena's kind of afraid to ask for that because she feels like Cain is going to think it's a threat to him because he can't transmute or do anything with those weapons. So she's hesitant to present the titanium as her resonance, and she asks Shizio to give her another one that's like for steel, which is super common. She wanted to throw away the titanium one, but again, Crowther told her to take it because, again, he wanted to see what Cain would do if she brought that. So there's an attack, and Lila gets taken. Luke is freaking out because he's super attached to Lila and is worried about what's going on with her. Lila's eventually brought back, but is near death. She'd been attacked by chimeras. And Helena basically works herself into complete exhaustion and to try to heal her for Luke until she passes out. In chapter 43, Luke describes the attack and like everything that was happening. And then it's this moment that you realize, like, it's kind of like one of the few moments where Luke is really humanized for me. And I didn't hate him in this moment. Most of the time I do not like him very much.
I surely don't like him now.
Which, by the way, so his name is like, it's spelled L-U-C because it's like Lucian. So is it Luce or is it Luke? Because I just keep calling him Luke.
I say Luke.
I say Luke too.
I say Luke.
But for the listeners, we might be getting it wrong. It might be loose. I don't know. There is stuff
We're not looking this. We're reading it.
I'll tell you, there's stuff in the first episode we definitely got wrong. As we get further into it, I'm like, well, that was not what we thought it was.
Well, at least now
Well,
I
that's
know,
the beauty of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you see it real time as you're learning.
Now I know
Yeah.
why she had such a hard time remembering Soren. Because she
Yes.
was blocking him well before.
She blocked
She
everything.
didn't want none of that
Yeah.
remembered.
We'll get to that.
And honestly, the way that Luke is acting now, it makes me want to just straight up punch him in the face. Like, I get it.
I'll be honest, I read ahead and it makes sense now.
How far ahead?
It makes sense. Not 100. You'll just have to get there. But like, not in a you understand him way, but in a like, oh shit.
Well, we got to the scene where they're on the rooftop and they have that conversation.
Yeah, you'll probably, I don't know, you might pick it up. So when I did this, I had already kind of read ahead a little bit. I highlighted the Easter egg she gives you through this, so you might pick up on it. You start to see Luke have this sort of human moment, and you start to connect with him a little bit, because he talks about when he was younger, he was really upset that he wasn't going to get to fight in a war. It was a peacetime, and that he wanted to be the hero, but instead he was just going to be one of these principates that was eventually forgotten to time, because his time as principate would have been uneventful. And he admits that all the stories are wrong, and he wishes if he could get one wish, he would go back and not have any of this happen. And so I think that was like the first time you kind of really got to see him recognizing that this war sucked, and not just being like, oh, well, the gods will, and blah, blah, blah.
There's still plenty more of that, though.
If you didn't have religious trauma before you started this book, you might have some by the end.
With a fictitious religion.
Crowther had some weird nerve damage from an old injury in his arm, and Helena fixes that for him, and Crowther actually realizes that Vivimancy's kind of useful, and he finally actually gives her a little bit of praise and tells her that she is a credit to the Eternal Flame. One of the few times that you don't hate Crowther. I get like 3 times in this book I don't absolutely
But
despise
I'm also
him.
like, the only reason why you're saying that is because she fixed something on you.
You, right. The one time
So-
that she helped you, which, I mean, she helps him a ton, but like also, whatever.
Like, forget all the other people that she's literally, like, put back together.
So Shizio has been studying some of the metal that they obtained from Bennett's experiments at the lab. He discovered it was a special metal that reversed resonance. And remember, he's like Helena. He's not from Palladia. He's a foreigner. So he has some experience with some stuff outside of Palladia and some of the things that you would encounter outside of there. And he's dealt with this metal before and knows what it is. And these were the ones that were obtained from Bennett's experiments at the lab. They end up calling it nolium. Not yet, but we're just going to call it that because it's easier, because I can't pronounce what the hell it was. What that does is basically stops the resonance, hence nolium. It nullifies the resonance. Not only the potential impact on the war of the use of that was terrifying to them, but it also means that more than just Palladia was involved in the war, because that came from another country, that metal did, which means Moreau has been working with other countries this whole time. So the political ramifications of that were quite large. The next meeting with Cain, is where she asks him not to die, kind of for the first time. And he says, okay, but only because you asked.
And then it becomes a thing.
Chapter 44, Cain kept showing up to meetings with just like varying degrees of injuries. But one time while watching her train, he just like completely collapses. She found a stab wound with metal left behind inside of it, and she discovers that it's more of that nolium. And she's able to remove it, and when she does, she collects bits of that nolium, and she kind of divides it up because she's scared that she doesn't want Cain to know that she's taking it, so she like sneaks some in her bag that she takes back and forth with her, and then she leaves some for him to be like, oh, this was what was inside of you. But in the meantime, in order to remove that
bag is probably disgusting.
but in order to remove that, she had to take her crappy alchemical knife, and she had to like morph it into like surgical supplies, and she had to break it, and then she couldn't put it back. So no more knife for her. It's then revealed that because he survived because of Helena fixing him when he had the array on his back and everything else, that Bennett's really confused because everybody else that's happened to has died. So Bennett has decided to make him like a guinea pig and just keeps studying him. And so you just know that poor kid is just getting tortured to death.
Again, give me Moreau before you give me Bennett. That guy is
The worst.
like it. It's a scary man.
So they argue about the war.
Assuming they say man, right? Do they say he? 'Cause it could
Yeah,
be like-
it's a he. Yeah,
Okay.
Bennett's
Like it could be Marsha Bennett. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to put that stuff in there.
Elizabeth Bennett.
Evil isn't just a male trait.
'Cause-
Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet.
Elizabeth Bennett.
Where's my Mr. Darcy in this
Oh
story?
my god! Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't. Well, he's kind of grumpy. I was like, I can't really put Cain and Darcy together in this one. So they end up arguing about the war and kind of how it started. And Helena's blaming all the power-hungry necromancers and the guilds, but Cain points out that despite the holdfasts always claiming to not want to rule or be interested in politics, that they're also working awfully hard to not lose power. He also talks about how the Tower of Alchemy was supposed to increase education in magic, but the minute that science started to contradict their faith, that they just like completely turned their back on it. They refused to accept new metals that were being introduced or any other type of magic that was being discovered, and to do any sort of research into that, and just made it bad, made it an evil thing or a sinful thing, and tried to wash their hands of it. So he also admits that the war first started, that some of the Undying objected, and Blackthorn, which we heard about a little bit earlier, who was just this awful, like, super evil general that Moreau had that was, like, known for eating his victims and just being generally gross. Blackthorn was actually one that had initially opposed what was happening. He objected when Principate Apollo was murdered, and he went against the bloodshed and all the murders that were happening, and he didn't agree with any of that. But because he was already undying, Moreau used that against him, and he does the weird thing with his bones that are connected to these undying, and so he basically took that bone out and then tortured him over and over repeatedly until he'd lost his mind. And by the time he was done torturing him, he I think he ate his wife and children. I don't know. He just basically had lost it. Even the ones who had gone against Moreau were still being used, but in just such a worse way.
I just said Happy Valentine's Day. I love you, wife. I want you to be a part of me forever. Consumed.
There you go. It's hot until it's not,
Yeah. So, which I think for Helena was a little enlightening, because it does come up a little bit later when some threats are being made against Cain, and she realizes how much worse it is on his side than it is on her side. Because she might be ostracized, she might be sent away, she might even be murdered, but she's just going to die. But like the things that happen on his side are just horrendously worse in every aspect. She goes back to Cain without her knife, which he immediately notices. She's like, maybe he won't notice. And immediately he's like, where's your knife? So she lies and says she lost it. But then he clearly panics and thinks she was attacked. And she ends up immediately telling him the truth. And she ends up giving him a healing kit for winter solstice. Inside it, it's not just because he's like, kind of laughs it off. He's like, I can just buy, it's not like your side. I can just buy healing items. And she was like, well, no, these are ones I specifically have made and invented to work with your regeneration. And she'd been working on those for him. And then it was real sweet. And then she spent like an hour teaching him about it, and afterwards he's like, boy, just
Time's up. It's like us in this podcast.
yeah.
I love when he goes, the basics, you've been talking for over an hour.
Yeah, I think it's like at the very end of the chapter, he's got a really cute one-liner too.
Oh yeah, here we go. Good, he should. Well, this has been delightful. I can't even remember how many times I've wished someone would lecture me on the systems of the human body.
But he ends up giving her a gift too, and that's where he presents her with a set of daggers, which are made out of titanium that he had made specifically for her. So these set of chapters, like before, you're getting all this like lead up, and now you're really starting to see them have developed feelings for each other, and even seeing those feelings just grow and alter and shift in a lot of different ways, from like realizing they have feelings to then resenting those feelings because of what it ends up meaning for both of them. And then I think what I missed the first read through and what I tried to highlight going back through was how much originally she's talking about his obsession, and then everything starts to mirror in her.
Yeah.
But going on into chapter 45, at a report with Ilva, she asks about her and Shizio's study of the Nolium and its best uses. Helena admits it would work best if you could target the hands, and basically describes manacles. And I was like, holy shit. They created the manacles.
They
all
created
along.
the manacles. She invented it. That was her idea. Even the new ones.
Even the new ones, because it comes
Because
up
she
later.
talks about the thing going through the.
Mm-hmm. And then she freaks out because she kind of backs off of it and only because she pictures it getting used on Cain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
And Shizio was also kind of looking at her like,
that was a twist I was not expecting to come. Was that they invented the manacles? I was like, oh girl.
Because it sounds like such a Bennett thing.
but how?
That was
Yeah.
actually her.
I guess we're gonna find out. But I'm like, how does it end up getting into? I guess Shizio.
Yeah.
Shizio.
I mean, he's just trying to survive, y'all. I'm not trying to blame him.
Well, and I think in a way he's trying to help her.
Yeah.
Because remember, she had the wrong manacles on
Yeah.
for a long time. Because later in these sets of chapters, we're going to talk about why she
When
wanted
she was first in the States.
when they
she
first
had the
create
old
because
version.
they do create the manacles, and when they first do, she realizes there's still resonance left, and that's where she starts to play with the idea of the tubing going through. So he knew that, and he still put the other design on her. So I think all along he was trying to help her. We haven't gotten there yet, but
I hope
that's
so.
my
I hope so.
They had such a good relationship. I hate that.
yeah, I
He
think
needs
that's
someone that's good.
I think that's my
Like-
theory. I think it's like one of those, it was probably he was in an impossible situation, and he was doing the best he could to help her in any way he could, even though it was still awful. Same way Cain was trying to help her. Like in the part 1 where he's raping her, in my mind, he's also being raped. They're both technically being raped because it's coercion on both of their parts. Neither one wants that to happen. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame Cain for what occurred. Like, I don't put that on him.
Right.
So, in fact, it's probably even as mentally traumatizing for him as it was for her,
Well, yeah,
if
he
not
threw
worse.
up. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a hard time.
And and also like knowing like, okay, it's either going to be me or it's going to be everyone. And he also knows these people, knows how they brag, knows how they've, it's like you said, it's an impossible choice.
Yeah. So she shows her daggers to Ilva, who, Ilva's kind of weird about it. She just acted really like, I don't know. It never really expands on it, but she just acted kind of off about it. She was like kind of put off by them, or like, I don't know. Ilva tells her that Cain is climbing rank and wants to know if she noticed, which Helena hadn't really noticed, but looking back, she realizes that when she met him, his uniform was like a light gray, and it shifted over time, and now it's nearly black. And Ilva is angry by this. She thinks that Cain is playing both sides, that he's using his spine to his advantage. And she admits that she has wanted him dead from the get-go. He was never supposed to survive. And she wants to know why he's alive, like what happened, how Helena managed to save him. And Helena, homegirl needs to stop telling the truth so much. She knows they're manipulating her at this point and using her. I would have kept my mouth shut, but she ends up telling Ilva about using the stone and the amulet and how she used that Cain. And Ilva tells her that was the stone of the heavens, but it's not the story that they've been told. It was not this gift from the gods. And then you get the origin of the original necromancer and the first war with the necromancer, and that they'd never seen anything like that. So when the first necromancer came, he was doing what they considered were miracles. So people looked at him like a god because he was creating immortality, he was bringing people back to life, and all these things. So they associated him with a god, and when he created the first quote unquote immortals, their souls were bound into the substance that became what they think of as the stone of the heavens. It was said in that battle that Orion defeated the necromancer. But what really happened was the immortals realized that they had been betrayed all along, and they were actually enslaved to the necromancer. This wasn't like this freedom and immortality that they had been promised, that they were actually enthralled to him. And they turned on him, and the stone turned on him, and it created this blazing white light that just destroyed everything. But afterwards, everyone lied, and they said, because all that was left was Orion and his people. And so they just said, oh yeah, it was like this gift. Orion defeated him with this magical gift from the gods, and that the stone was also a gift from Saul. So again, you get their crazy religion kind of making up excuses for things that did not happen. And so Ilva threatens Helena that she is going to turn Farron over as a traitor and let his own side deal with him. And that's where, when Cain was explaining earlier what was happening to those who worked against Moreau or went against him in any way or objected to anything he was doing, what he was doing to them, she realizes what could potentially happen to Cain. And so she makes a deal with Ilva that she begs her for the chance to make him loyal to them. And if she can't, that she'll kill him herself. So Ilva ends up giving her 30 days that he either has to crawl to them or she has to kill him. And so then we go into chapter 46. Helena goes to a solstice party. She realizes everybody's super abnormally excited. Like they're partying and having a good time and celebrating more than what they should be in her mind for like a solstice during the middle of a war. And she starts asking around, and they're like, the war is basically over. Like we're winning and it's almost done.
We've got it.
And then they piss her off because then they try to say it's because of their faith. And she knows that it's because of all the work that Cain is doing and the shit she's doing.
And didn't they say that she was a test? Like when she went to the council about like the necromancy?
Yeah, and then
like
them turning her down.
The test of you doing that, and look what it's gotten us.
And look at us now.
Oh, I was so mad.
I know. So before she can leave, Luke finds her, and then Lila insists on taking a picture of Luke and Helena and Soren all together on the couch, which, if you read Manacled,
It's gonna come back.
at the end, you get that photograph. If you flip to the back of Alchemised, you're going to see the same type of you're going to see a photograph, and that's where that photograph comes from, is the solstice party.
Don't do it.
Huh?
Don't flip to the back.
Don't flip to the back.
Don't flip to the back.
We
But-
only did it because we read Manacled.
yeah, and
do it.
we wanted to see if that was going to end up on the back, and then we were like, oh,
The photograph does come back.
Don't flip.
Don't look at it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, girl.
People are like, I'm not gonna do it.
I will do it.
Do it. I did it.
I did.
I'm just saying.
But afterwards, Luke talks to her about like wanting to go away together and like go on this big trip together. And Helena tells him that basically that they can't be friends anymore, that he needs to forget her and like that they're not friends anymore, which was really upsetting because she's more loyal to Luke than Luke ever was to her. And for her to have to do that, I felt like was probably really hard for her. But afterwards, she's upset. She feels like she really has nowhere to go and she doesn't belong anywhere. She ends up going back to the outpost, and Cain rushes in shortly afterwards, clearly panicked, worried something's gone wrong. Says he's keeping an eye on the place, which you don't realize it yet. But I'm like, aw, he's got himself some dad jokes. It's like, that's a good pun.
I saw some dad jokes.
So he's angry she's there alone, unarmed. He keeps asking her why she's came. She does admit that she was just worried about him. And she's worried that a lot of it's stemming from this anxiety of like, she knows now that she has this time limit of this 30 days to like make him loyal to her. She's going to end up having to kill him. And she says that she's just worried about him dying. And she makes him promise again not to die. And again, you get that he says, okay, but only because you asked. And at this point, this is very much giving the Princess Bride as you wish.
It is.
But he does make her promise to only come back to the outpost if it's important because it's dangerous.
Considering how he like ends up like, hey, come meet me like every night.
Yeah, but they do that elsewhere. They don't go to the outpost anymore.
Yeah,
They're like up on rooftops.
they're in the sky. They've taken to the sky.
She agrees to not come back, and he says that he trusts her, that she won't, which of course just kills her inside because at this point she's like, don't trust me. Everybody's lying to you. I'm lying to you. Like her inner like monologue, you're just like, that poor girl. She just
That's gotta be so hard to like have like full, like feel full responsibility in one area, and then this other area that you also feel full responsibility to contradicts the other. Like,
and she internalizes so much. Like I'm like, I would have had me a journal. I would have been like a mean girl with a burn book just up in my little lab, like Crowther. So then we go into chapter 47. We get some more training with Cain, but now he's put like these like drop cloths and stuff all over the floor to try to make the footing unstable. So it's gonna kind of be like what it would be like if she had to fight while she was out foraging. He ends up tackling her and pinning her to the ground, and she tries to like buck her hips to get him off. And he stands up and seems very flustered. And he was like, I would not recommend trying to escape that way. And he ends up giving her a list of different ways to get away. And then during another training session, she's just not giving her all. She's losing constantly. She's like not even really trying. And he gets very irritated at her. He's like, why am I even bother training you if you're not going to try? Helena kind of acts like it's pointless. And she's like, I don't know why you're training me either because it's useless. No matter what, they're going to kill me. If an Undying gets me, I'm going to die. If a Necrothal gets me, I'm going to die. Like, there's no point to this. Like, you're wasting your time. And he's like, he realizes that something else is wrong. That she tells him that she's just super tired of the war, that she's tired of having to save people just for them to die, come back and die in even more horrific ways later, that she feels stuck in the cycle of the war and feels like there's no way out. And when they go back to fighting afterwards, he kind of like tries to encourage her to bring her back. He's telling her how clever she is and she needs to stop trying to use her body and like her quickness and all this stuff and use her brain to fight because that's how she's going to win. She finally manages to knock him down twice and pin him with her knife. This part had me, I reread it. Then he tells her, just like that, just push it in, encouraging her to go ahead and kill him. Because guys, he trained her to kill him the whole time. He knew the whole time that she was going to betray him. And he trained her anyways to kill him. And I was very upset.
I don't really have anything to say to that.
I'm like, we're just sitting in silence. And that's about what I did for a while after reading this. Because I was just like, are you kidding me? He knew all along. And
it's...
Well, and then it gets a little better because instead of killing him, she kisses him. That sort of...
much better because...
But then it turns the tide. Because it takes them a second. Yeah, they've crossed the line. They both give in to what they both want. And they end up having very rough, very fast sex. But afterwards, she could tell that she had him, like this was it. She had him now. But then that broke her inside and she was really upset. It was kind of devastating to read it because even though you're like, yay, they finally gave in and you have this moment between them. But then afterwards she's like, I'm glad I didn't find pleasure, because she, like, even a whore doesn't find pleasure in what they do. And she's just equating herself to whoring herself out to this cause. Cain becomes visibly upset when he realizes that she was a virgin and that she has blood on her. He says that if he would have known, he would have been gentler. He ends up trying to push her away again, because that's what he does. When he starts to have feelings, Cain gets upset and he pushes people away. But he says that she must...
He kind of does too, though. She kind of does too,
yeah,
though.
They're both
He starts making it like it's just, it was the job.
Right.
Know? Yeah, well, and then she turns around and she's like, that was my job. You had to have known it was my mission. And then it's just, I don't know. They're both being such,
twats
yeah,
afterwards. But
like, neither one of them are playing this out very well.
he admits that he originally only asked for her because he knew she was disposable. And then admitted that there became a point where he could just no longer push her away. You get Cain's confession of like what happened to him and what happened to his mother. So there's where you get where the High Necromancer had tortured his mother in order to get him to kill Principe Apollo. And that's where we find out that that's what the cage was for that we found in part 1. They kept her in this cage. They used it to torture her. She never really recovered from the torture. Later, his mother encouraged him to go to this Undying party in which Cain had been tortured. They decided to like see what would happen if, since he was the youngest, if they did all this stuff to him and they tortured him really bad and he hadn't healed and he went home and he thought he could sneak in without her seeing him, and she saw him and had a heart attack and died. After he confesses that to Helena, he starts sobbing, and while he's holding her, or she's holding him, he breaks down and says that he can't care for anyone like that again because he just can't go through that type of pain again of losing someone. And then my little heart broke for him. But at the end of this chapter is probably one of the only times in this book so far that I hated Helena, because even when she
used that line.
Yes. Because even throughout all these other times, I chalk everything else up she's done to her own survival or to help others or the greater good. And she's in this impossible situation. But here you have him admitting his feelings for you, breaking down about what has happened to him in his past, breaking down, showing his humanity. And she's like, yes, I can finally use this. And I was like, I was so mad at her.
But what was funny about it was she was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She was apologizing for everything. For the first time, he was fully human to her, and but it's like she was like, she felt bad for him, but then she
and I know, like deep down, I know even the using him is to keep him alive. Like I know why she's doing it, but it's just it came across so detached and dark, and after everything that he had just spilled out to her, and I was just like, girl, damn it.
No, I feel that.
So then we move into chapter 48. Helena asks why he kept climbing rank, and he said he knew that eventually that they would probably betray him back to Moreau or the Undying, and that he had tried to position himself for maximum fallout when it was revealed. He then changes the subject and asks why she kissed him, and she reveals she didn't know all this time that he was supposed to die. And she ends up telling him like everything that had happened all the way up to the end, to the giving the 30 days to get him loyal or have to kill him herself. And he laughs at her and says, and pretty much refuses her. So she asks if he wants it to be her that kills him. And he scoffs and tells her that she already had her chance and she's lost it. He asks what will happen to her after he's dead, and she admits that she doesn't know, that they might offer her to another spy, but she never made plans other than him because she was told from the beginning that he asked for her for the war and forever after the war, and that's all she made plans for, and so she has no other plans for her life or anything else, and that she had always been expendable. Even he's told her that. That's why he picked her, was because she was expendable. He tries to argue with her, there must be something you're looking forward to when the war is over. And she just says that she's done, that there's nothing left for her. And so then he says, what do they want? And then he says, is it actual crawling or do they have something more constructive in mind?
And then and then she says, I'd have to ask. He says, find out, I'll do it. And I'm like, oh God. I love him.
I love him so much. She goes to the safe house to find Crowther. For once, Crowther's actually kind to her because he sees all the bruises of where they've been training and her state of being. Her clothes are ripped. And so he assumes that she's been raped. She assures him that she is not, like, mission accomplished. And she brings Crowther back with her to meet with Kane, which they dismiss Helena, both of them, have her just stand outside. I was like, rude. And then you hear Crowther, as she closes the door, just say, beg. I hate him so much.
I'm like, so it was actual crawling. I mean, really.
And then that's where Helena, while she's waiting outside, she sees the eye up in the corner. I wonder if it's the same eye that he ends up having back at Spirefell, or if he actually does have a collection of eyes, like Aurelia said.
I think he has a collection.
He makes a good use of them.
The fact that she
magical
mentioned
ring
it, I'm
cameras.
like, oh, he's definitely got a collection.
So we go into chapter 49. She's reduced after this to only seeing Kane once a week. They go back to training like nothing happened. Helena asks how he knows all of these things, like that he's teaching her, and all of the ways to like hurt and injure and break bones, and realizes that he knows because all of these things had been done to him at some point. But also, instead of just passing information now, she's sent with an envelope of orders for him. So he's still bringing information back to Crowther, but now Crowther and Ilva are sending orders for him. She keeps training with Kane, but he's like very detached. He stopped looking at her. She stops getting any work at headquarters. Her only job basically at this point is just to keep Kane on a leash to do all these things for them. She goes back to the hospital after a meetup with Kane and finds that Luke is missing after a battle. Soren and Lila have been badly injured. Nullium was used during the attack. Lila is out. She's struggling to recover. She's hit really hard with the Nullium. They can't use resonance to fix her. She can't use her own resonance to recover. So they're just having to like manually try to fix her and wait it out. In the meantime, Soren has lost an eye. Everyone wants to talk to Lila because she was the one with Luke when it happened. Helena gets kind of pissed because you can't talk to her yet. And a lot of it's because of the Nullium that's happened. But she's pissed because like she was like, if she would have just been magically able to heal her with her resonance and her vivimancy that they don't even agree with, they would have thanked Sol and the gods for healing her. But because she's not immediately fixed and she's still injured, they're blaming her and they're blaming the hospital. And she's like, why is it if something good happens, you always thank God, but whenever something bad happens or we're incapable of pulling off a God's miracle, then you blame us? Which Elva tells her that they want to use Farron to recover Luke. She knows it's a suicide mission for him, but she goes anyway and she gives the orders to Farron. He agrees to do it. He doesn't even argue with her, even though he also knows it's probably a suicide mission. She feels really guilty about asking him to go, so she tries to talk to him about it, and he ends up getting really angry. And he says his servitude to the High Necromancer was cruel, but it paled in comparison to her. To him, at least with the High Necromancer, he felt like it wasn't his fault. He was doing everything to keep his mother alive, but with her, he chose her. He said that after healing her leg, he felt like she deserved someone, just like anyone, who actually cared about her enough to keep her safe, and that he could be that for her, but she just keeps using him to keep people safe who don't care about her at all and don't care if she is safe. And so he's just upset and frustrated. But his line is, all I feel is a new set of manacles. Forgive me if I dislike looking at you. I'm still adjusting to how the new ones
I was going to
New
say,
ones
these
chafe.
new ones chafe. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was the line.
Yeah. I was like, wow. Ouch.
I know. When you read when you read stuff like that, you're like, it's a love story.
It's a love story.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Which it's because it's so frustrating because you're like, he loves her so much, he just wants to keep her safe. And then he's frustrated because none of those people care. He's frustrated because none of those people care about her at all. They would just let her die in an instant, and she would kill herself. She would kill everybody else to save this handful of people who could care less about her. Soren he wants to do a rescue mission, and he convinces Helena that because she's a healer, he needs her because they don't know what condition they're going to find Luke in. But then he pulls her aside and he's telling her that no matter what, like direct eye contact, no matter what, Luke has to come back. And she realizes he wants her to use necromancy, if needed, to bring Luke back. That they cannot lose Luke. That's why she's chosen to go on this mission. So they go on this rescue mission and they travel to the cathedral and they have to go through like a series of tunnels and underwater. As they're going along, they don't encounter really any resistance, and Helena's very concerned that this whole thing is a trap. They finally get to the prison, and that's empty until the very last cell, and they discover Wagner, who Helena knows because Crowther and Ivy tortured that name when they were torturing Lancaster. So she knows they're looking for him and decide that they need to keep him and bring him with. He was worthless. Did not enjoy him. They end up bringing Wagner along. Right afterwards, they end up finding Luke, and they also encounter a leech, which ends up being Cain's father, Atreus, that they have to behead, but they didn't have time to take his talisman. I'm assuming, I mean, obviously we saw him in part 1 and he was still alive, so just in a different body. So apparently he was not dead. Even beheaded, not dead. But they end up finding Luke. He's like laid out in like a lab, I guess. And they have him sliced open, and they describe his organs as being black and necrotic, but he was still alive. Which I'm just picturing like an autopsy, like just like a Y and filleted open.
Awake, still alive, and just splayed open.
Ugh.
He was
So
awake too?
Yeah, I think so.
well, I know he's alive. I don't know if he was awake. Helena gives him a crap ton of drugs to try to do the best she can to get him out of there.
I think he was drugged. I think he was awake, but he was alive, drugged and cut open, but alive.
But she gives him, so she's like loading him up, painkillers, epi, all of the works, just enough to keep him alive so they can transport him out. They end up encountering like a horde of Necrothals and Chimeras.
Just barely.
As they're getting swarmed by Necrothals and Chimeras. Her ring. Oh, because before she leaves, she goes back for her med kit. And she tells Shizio, she gives him a note with everything that they're doing, with the plan to take to the outpost to deliver to Cain. And so apparently Shizio made it because her ring starts burning constantly, just going nuts. And you just know that man is panicking.
So, like, he's got to know that she's there at that point. Like, it's not like she can leave. And honestly, the ring is probably just a distraction.
I thought that too. I'm right there with you because I'm like,
what is she gonna do?
But she's like, she's in it now. You just need
Well,
to get
and
her
I
there.
think in his mind, so yes, the fact that Shizio shows up with the note should tell you she's gone. She went. But I think in his mind, the agreement was he would do these missions if they kept her alive, that surely she would not be on this mission. So I think he knew it was a trap. And that's why he was like burning the ring, was to get her to come and be like, get them out, tell them not to go. It's a trap. But I think he's quickly realizing she's there, which is why the burning of the ring is getting just increasing and constant as he's cycling, and he's panicking right before.
I wonder if he was looking for her to like signal him back. Like that's what I would have done. I would have been
he
like,
also told her
I'm
to
gonna
never
burn
do
you.
that.
I know,
Yeah.
but I would have done it. I just would have been like, stop! I'm alive. I'm gonna burn you back. Leave me alone. I'm busy. I'm busy right now.
I'm gonna burn you back.
I'm gonna burn you back. Stop it.
So you've got the Necrothals, you've got the Chimeras, you've got these other things that I don't know if they were new or not new, the aspirants or something. I was like, I missed that one along the way.
Yeah, and they keep talking about them.
Yeah, it could.
And I
I
was
was
like,
like,
what are these?
I was me. I was like, I don't know where I went wrong, but I don't know what these are, but we're just going to check
Okay,
them.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I was
Put them in
like
with
that.
somewhere between a Necrothal and a Leech. I don't know what the fuck they are.
Yeah.
So anyways, so then Blackthorn arrives. All right, Blackthorn again, the one who like eats the people, right? He's just like the big bad, other than Moreau.
Aspirants are humans and lower level servants of the High Necromancer Moreau. They are individuals who are not yet undying, but are actively seeking to become so. They are
Okay.
often put in danger serving the High Necromancer while trying to prove themselves worthy of receiving the gift of immortality.
That's helpful.
So they're just human.
They
They're just
are a
human.
they're a rank below undying.
There are people
Okay.
actively participating.
So like kind of I guess
in
like
this
boots on the
torture.
ground, kind of
Yeah,
in the trenches.
that makes
people.
sense. Just call them people then. Damn it, I don't know.
That's
I was
I
like,
know,
what?
right?
I saw it. I ran across it. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's new.
Thank you, Google.
So Blackthorn arrives. He's the one that resisted, and he was the one that like ended up eating his family and just is the worst. So Helena's holding her own actually in this battle, all because of the training that Cain had given her. But really, he just taught her to kind of defend herself and then run away, and she can't run away now. So she's sort of reaching her limit of what she's able to do. In the meantime, she's also looking around, kind of watching what's happening with the battle. She sees Wagner shove Sophia Purnell, which was Crowther's helper, who was the one who had all of these maps and plans of how to get there, and why she thinks Crowther has planned this whole rescue mission. Wagner pushes Sophia in front of him towards the Necrothals to save himself because he's such a brave big man. Sophia manages to like jump out of the way of the Necrothals, but only to get swept away in the water, and she ends up drowning and dying. Blackthorn, in the meantime, is battling Soren, who's still missing an eye from battle. He's not fully recovered, and Blackthorn clocks that super fast, figures out his weak side, and just keeps battling him on his weak side until he's tired, and then he hits him with an axe in his chest, which is a mortal wound. Like, Soren ain't coming back from that. But Luke shoves Soren to Helena and is basically like, bring him back, heal him, fix him. She promised Soren that she would do anything to get Luke back. And in her mind originally, I think she thought she was going to have to use necromancy on Luke. But she's realizing they're not going to win without Soren. And if they die, Luke dies. And her promise to him was she would do anything to get Luke back, which included bringing Soren back. So when Soren dies, she brings him back using necromancy, which she's never done before. She's just sort of winging it and has no clue what she's doing.
Did a great job. Internalized it a little too much, sure.
So what she didn't realize in bringing him back was that it like puts her sort of inside of him, I guess, because she is seeing what he is seeing. So when he's being attacked, she's seeing all of that. And she's having a really hard time separating that. So she's having a hard time focusing. That would be a little overwhelming, a little overstimulating. So even though she's distracted by what's happening, because he's back in full battle, he's being surrounded by Necrothals, by Chimeras, and he's just being torn apart and just keeps battling it, like battling through that is, I don't even know how to describe it because she described it so well, that battle scene. And yet he's just dying. He's gone, like his soul is gone. He doesn't feel the pain or anything, so he's just still fighting. But she is aware of what's happening to him and is having to like internalize all of that while still dealing with where she's at. In the meantime, Blackthorn gets to her, and he saw what she did. He knows what she is and is intrigued by her. She tries to like defend herself against him and tries to use resonance, but of course, because he knows what she is, he's able to block that pretty immediately, and he immediately breaks her hand. He then stabs her, breaks her other hand. Then he pulls out the knife. This was the most disgusting part. And not even in just like a disgusting part. It was like traumatizing. He pulls out the knife and she thinks he's going to stab her again, but instead he ends up jamming 2 fingers in the wound, which is obviously going to be painful, but it's what he says afterwards, which is where it's traumatizing, because he talks about how he likes wounds the best because of how wet and hot and tight they are, and basically alludes to that he rapes his victims in their wounds, and that he's going to do that to her over and over because he wants to keep her and keep her alive. And then he's going to turn her over to Bennett, who's our favorite lab guy.
Bennett is going to love you. Yeah.
So in the meantime, she's panicking. She's screaming. He's telling her to just keep screaming and torturing her. Then suddenly he's yanked back with like a rope or a wire around his neck. And an Undying is standing there at the edge of the battle in a black uniform and a mask. When Blackthorn gets over there, she describes it as like this masked guy just rips out his heart, like through his battle armor, and rips his heart out. And in the meantime, bodies start just falling everywhere this guy's walking, and he's just walking straight to her. And then she realizes it's Kane. She's also realizing that like through all the training that he did with her and everything else, she never realized like what a badass he is and how deadly he is, which is traumatizing as the scene. It is a legit scene, because I'm like, as traumatizing as the Blackthorn scene was, Kane showing up was hot. I was like, there he is. There's my boy.
There he is.
So,
actually, this whole chapter, I think the author did a very good job in describing everything. Like I could picture it like a movie. How convenient.
it's probably,
I think picture it. I think
yeah.
she did the action scenes very well, and you kind of have an idea of what everyone is doing.
It was
this whole thing.
It was like
Even
the most disturbing, I think, to read, but it was also the most exciting to read. It's probably my favorite one.
Even when she describes like when Luke like sees Soren and how like he's relieved, but then he's immediately like aware of what happened. Like that was I feel like I could see that too. Like recognition, then like just horror, you know. I thought that was good too.
She did a good job of still staying in Helena's point of view, but you get a full sweeping view of everything that is happening in that scene to everybody else and balancing it. He reaches her and he's just like, you idiot, and grabs her.
I love it.
He uses his resonance to like, I don't even, the power this man must have, because he like sends the water in some giant wave and then it's just like does something to the air and he's choking and killing everybody. He's killing the Necrothals, the aspirants, the chimeras, just
the resistance. Like,
and
then,
yes, and then all the members, because Helena sees that Luke is also can't breathe, and so she starts screaming at Kane to tell him to stop. The amount of times he tells her to shut up in this chapter is my favorite, because he's just like, shut up, and then he goes over and he puts his hand on the chest of every resistance member and gets them to breathe, and brings them back. Then he grabs her and he goes,
gonna leave him.
I know. Then he
can't leave him.
he's like, shut up.
Because he grabs her to leave and she's like, you can't, I'm not, basically, I won't go with you if you're not going to take them. And again, he's just like, shut up. And then he brings the aspirants back that were dead. He brings them back and has them carry the rest of the resistance out with her. So she's obviously super injured. She has to tell him how to heal her. She's so weak and her hands are broken. And so she can't use her resonance to like figure out what all exactly is wrong with her on how to heal her. So she's apologizing for that. And again, he tells her to shut up.
Shut up. I love it.
He ends up using his own med kit that she made for him, that he's carrying on him. She ends up freaking out when he tries to work on the stab wound because she's very traumatized.
Yeah, that was trauma.
After that.
He was like, don't touch it!
But afterwards, he fixes all of the major stuff, and then he starts working on her hands. And afterwards, she tells him that he could have been a healer. And you get this exact mirroring of in part 1, where they have this exact conversation. Even his response, which is that the irony, yeah. So they end up working together, healing her together. He tries to make her promise to never go on another mission, that in order for him to continue assisting them, that she has to stay alive. She tries to argue with him because she feels like she had to do this, and he can't tell me what to do. And he says that her being alive, yeah, she's like, well, you're doing all of this for your mother, to avenge your mother anyways. So like, avenge your mother, basically. And he like yells at her, and he's like, my mother is dead and you're not. So you start to see she is above mama now. Cain tells her that if the external flame deems her expendable, that he will take his revenge on them, and that she is no longer expendable, that he will kill all of them, basically, if something happens to her. And that the only reason he is doing any of this is to keep her safe and alive. She seems shocked by that, and he realizes that they never told her that this whole time. That the only reason he's doing this is to keep her alive. But yeah, that whole chapter was rough. So then we go into chapter 51. Cain tells her how to get out, and tells her this is like the first time she gets told to use the ring to contact him, because all along she's been told never to use the ring to contact him, and he tells her to use it if she needs anything. She wakes up Sebastian. He is very aware that she used necromancy on Soren, but he also realizes that that's why Soren brought her to begin with, and he starts plotting how to cover everything up. They end up getting them all out and back to the hospital. When she goes to check on Luke, he's awake, but he's a little bit out of it. But when she gets close enough to him, so this is one of those Easter eggs that I wanted to kind of point out that it's not in the set of chapters, but I think it will be important later. So you should pay attention.
Okay, wait. I'm coming.
Okay. So she goes to the hospital to check on Luke, and Luke seems a little bit out of it. But when she gets closer, he touches her, and you get the same exact reaction from her that you get in part 1 when Moreau touches her, because she experiences pain. She's like she's seeing red, and like everything goes fuzzy and weird. Okay?
What does that mean?
We don't know yet.
But he's very
So,
much like Moreau.
and when she pulls away from him, when he was barely lucid, and then when she pulls away, he's fully lucid and standing. And he accuses her of using necromancy on Soren. So I'm just gonna point out, this is sounding a lot like Luke suddenly can use animancy. He ends up yelling for her to get out. Helena's then panicking because she's worried she's going to get put on trial.
I was showing her page 650 because she's touching him and nothing's really happening. She can feel that he's hot, like he's feverish. To be fair, he's just been cut wide open, so that makes sense. But then when she starts letting her resonance flow into him, she's questioning. She's like trying to find the source. What's wrong? What is she missing? That's when pain exploded through her chest. And so the world went careening, spinning. Vicious red burst across her vision, slamming into the back of her head. An endless ringing filled her ears. She struggled to focus her eyes. She couldn't breathe. She clutched at her chest. Noises were elongated. Faces loomed over her.
See, that's hilarious because I read that and I was like, that's weird. And then I just kept going.
Well,
like, I did.
And I mean, I contributed it to the experiment that was just done to him. I didn't necessarily put it to where that he can do animancy. But, I mean, that makes sense. It tracks. I mean, his organs were black. They had him cut open. I just thought it had something to do with whatever they were doing to him. So, anyway, that's a good little, like,
I can't remember if... Has Cain... I can't remember because I don't think I wrote exactly down when he did it. But Cain at some point in these sets of chapters explains how he became undying.
Yeah.
And that process.
Yeah.
The 9.
Mm-hmm. He was in the middle, and his... that's all in these chapters. And his... the people that took care of the house basically died for him to
Yeah.
become undying.
Yeah. Does he get split open like that? Do you remember?
I don't know. They
Oh.
did something. They did something like that, but I know that they needed willing participants to do it, and so the people that took care of the house, like his nanny and his butler, they were there too,
Yeah.
and basically sacrificed themselves for him to become undying. And he didn't even know. He didn't even ask for it.
Yeah. So Helena is worried she's going to get put on trial for using necromancy. But Sebastian, Alistair, and Penny all stick to the story that they created previously. And they claim that Luke's just hallucinating. He was really drugged up. He didn't know what he saw. He was very injured.
Which honestly,
All are facts.
all are facts.
She, in the meantime, keeps having all of those visions from Soren's point of view because her consciousness was sort of split. So she keeps seeing him being torn apart over and over and over, except she's not seeing him as her seeing him. She's seeing him as it's like actively happening to her, and it's basically driving her insane. So she goes to Cain for help because Cain has done necromancy. Like, he knows how this works. But then as she gets almost to the outpost, she remembers she promised him she would not go to the outpost when it was not during their regular meetings. So she turns to leave. And in the meantime, she's continuing to have these sort of out of body kind of experiences and these flashbacks and this split consciousness kind of thing happening to her. And she eventually passes out because she's just kind of wandering around aimlessly. And she passes out outside in the cold. Cain finds her because he always comes. She thinks at this point she's just hallucinating. And because she thinks she's hallucinating, she just tells him everything. She's telling him what she did, what's happening to her. And then he ends up carrying her away. And she's like, oh, look at the giant dog, wolf with wings. What you later find out is the chimera he got given to train. And so they get on it, they fly off. She still thinks she's hallucinating. She's kind of got this kind of internal monologue running of like, maybe this is what I really want. I just want to run away with Cain. And she's kind of voicing that. So Cain asks her what she does actually want. And she says to love someone without hurting them and tells him how lonely she is. And he tells her that
Be alone.
she doesn't have to be alone, which she ends up blacking out again. And when she wakes, she's in this like super lavish, elegant room. And Cain tells her that they don't have to be alone anymore because they can be with each other. Helena says she can't care about him because she has to use him. And then he just says, then use me.
Oh, it's awful. And she says she can't. I don't want to do that to you. You don't deserve that. I can take care of myself. You don't have to push me away to protect me. I can take it. You can stop being lonely. I won't misunderstand. I know you just want someone to be with. That is like gut wrenching.
So he finally explains what's like going on with her with the split consciousness, and that when she made Soren, that she took a piece of herself and put it in him to bring him back. And that when he died, that typically you would like untether yourself, but she didn't know that, and it happened so quickly she didn't have time to do that. So of course, when he died, he took that piece with her, and she never like untethered it. And he also kind of hints that like you shouldn't do it to people you know because it makes it worse. They kiss softly and like very tenderly, and they end up like taking their time and just kind of like slowly kissing. And as it progresses, Helena makes the comment that this is what it should, like this is what she wanted it to be like with him. And he apologizes and is like, well, let me give that to you now. They actually make love this time, because the first time they had sex, and this time they take their time, and he shows. And I think that's like a thing most people probably, if you've read a lot of like romantasy, you know, we talk about like, oh, the spicy scenes, the smutty scenes. These are not written in the same way. They're not even that explicit. You know what's happening. It's open door. But it's written in a very different way. Like, you're aware of what's
It's
happening.
like respectful.
Yes.
In a respectful way.
Tastefully.
Well, it's also just very intimate between the two of them.
It is. It's almost
not
more
explicit.
intimate.
Yeah.
It's a face
In a
love.
lot of ways, the way it's written is almost more intimate than when you're given a very sexually explicit scene, fully written out, with the intention of almost to arouse or excite you, where this is written to show the level of intimacy that's happening between the two of them. She, in the middle of this, starts to panic because she's enjoying it and she doesn't feel like she's supposed to feel pleasure, that they're not allowed. She swore herself to being a healer and to the faith, and part of that is they're not supposed to apparently find any joy in life. I don't know. He insists that this is actually what it's supposed to be like, and he begs her to let him give her this one thing and show her that she deserves to have pleasure. And he does. So by then in chapter 52, you're coming out of that scene, and Cain turns very possessive. The amount of times after this that man says, "You're mine," could be a drinking game.
Yeah.
That girl is now very his. His possessiveness and obsession with her just like has now hit a whole new level.
He's the dragon.
He is the dragon.
His treasure.
But she kind of becomes a dragon too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he keeps saying, "You're mine. I'm going to take care of you. You're mine. I'm going to take care of you. Let me take care of you." He shows her his chimera. She tells him that his father isn't dead and kind of explains what happens with him. And he's super surprised that happened and kind of makes the offhanded comment of like, he couldn't even die for his mother. Like he couldn't even die well or something. So
That's pretty funny.
Cain then asks her why he's not dead, like why Cain isn't dead. And she tells him about the stone of the heavens and the real story of it and how it came about. She does not choose to tell him it's inside of him. She just says it's gone. Afterwards, she tries to leave, but he keeps making excuses for her to stay. You need to eat. You could take a bath. And she realizes that he would do anything, like he's going to try to keep her there. So she convinces him that she has to go, but promises him that she will always come back to him.
Crazy thing is, girl, don't go back. Like,
Go back. I would have gave up a long
don't
time
just
ago.
leave.
I'm
Peace
not.
out.
I don't think.
He's got the bone situation that they need to figure out. But honestly, she could figure that out. She's smart. Like,
He could just
She's
report
working on it
back
now.
to Dad, and she could
She's in the lab.
stay in his mansion.
she needs to just stay right
Just
where she
stay
is.
there.
He could be like, I don't know what happened. She gone. And like,
Yeah.
at this point, like the whole reason she's doing it is because of her loyalty to Luke, right? Okay, well, Luke like cannot stand her now. So like, what is she? She
Well,
even
I mean,
said
I
she
guess-
wouldn't be friends with him anymore. This guy loves her to pieces. It just doesn't make any sense.
I guess just if
I'm just
the
saying.
other side thought that she had died, then they would probably turn Luke in to Moreau, which I think would still be stupid,
Kanan.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But they would be like, "Oh, we don't have our person, so we're going to throw you under the bus."
Yeah, I think, especially coming up soon, you're going to see. I think at this point they're both just in it to protect each other.
Yeah.
Constantly.
It's
just
either
this
they're kinda
battle going
stuck
back
right
and forth.
now.
Yeah. But I don't know. I get into this book and I'd be like, I'd just be a whole puddle for this man at some point, and I'd be like, fuck this war. Get me out of here.
I know.
So in chapter 53, he flies her back to headquarters on the Chimera, who's named Amaris. He talks about how he earned the Chimera's trust, and that when Bennett built these Chimeras, he wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing more than anything. So he it's kind of like when I see an animal, like a dog or a horse or anything, and it's like, you look at it and you're like, God put that together wrong. That's what happened to these Chimeras. Like my daughter's horse, Tumor. It's Rumor, but we call him the Tumor because he's a pain in the ass. He's pretty, but God did put him together wrong. He's always injured. But that's what happened to these Chimeras, is like Bennett never put them together correctly. And so they were always in pain, which is why part of the reason they were so angry. So what Cain did was he learned how to like try to fix them and make it better. And relieving the pain made the Chimera trust him and kind of be loyal to him and fond of him. And in the meantime, it also helped Cain learn how to heal and become kind of a healer and get really good at that, learning how tissues and bones and all that worked. So
Thanks to that 1 hour anatomy lesson that she gave
I
him.
know. Paid off. So afterward, Crowther wants a meeting. He's kind of irritated when he finds out she was with Cain, even though like that's her whole job now. But he's also pissed that she went on this mission because it risked Farron not having his weekly proof of life that they could hold over his head. And Helena, on the meantime, is mad because she's like, this was your plan all along, Crowther. And then Crowther's like, no, it's not. I had to read it a couple times because I actually got a little confused at this plot point. But so apparently, because, and I think part of it is because Sophia did not have a huge role in this book. You meet her, maybe once or twice before the rescue scene, and she's just sort of thrown out there. I didn't even connect that she was part of Crowther's team until Helena pointed it out that like that's why she has all these plans is because of Crowther. Sophia wasn't working with Crowther, but Crowther was using Sophia to hold over Ivy because Sophia and Ivy were sisters. This is the sister that Ivy was talking about having memory issues and something bad happening to her. So I almost wonder if the something bad was Crowther.
That's a good point.
Because when she's telling her she like doesn't want her to remember what happened, I'm like, was it Crowther? Helena has to end up telling Ivy that her sister's dead on this mission, and Crowther's pissed at it's like a whole circle of everybody's mad at everybody because Crowther's mad at Helena for going on the mission. Helena's mad at Crowther for everything. Ivy's mad at Crowther because he was using her sister to hold over her to do all these like torture missions, and yet she ends up dead anyways.
We're also a little mad at
But then
Sophia.
Crowther was blaming.
And we're a little mad at Sophia because Sophia apparently actually it was Ivy who gave her all this
told her.
information.
Crowther put
Ivy
the
told her
blame
all
on
the information
Ivy.
as a way to get out.
Yeah.
And then
And
Sophia's like, I got this.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's like, we're going
he
to
was
rescue
like,
someone.
it's
Let's
because
go.
of you, your sister died. He's like, I didn't tell her those things. You
It's
did.
kind of like, it was very much like a better to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of situation. They're like, well, they'll have to be fine with it once we come back with Luke. That's what they want. So, but then it's just
people die.
everything happened.
Yeah. So Ivy ends up leaving, and you really see how sinister Crowther is because he immediately calls the guards and tells them to kill her, find her, and dispose of her. Crowther uses Helena to go in and help interrogate Wagner. You find out he was a guard under Moreau when he was put in charge of a prison unit while he was in Hevgos, which is another country. We'll just call it a country.
Area. Another plane.
Hevgos was at this time, so slavery is not legal in most of these areas, including Palladium. And what Hevgos was doing was they were just like renting out a prisoner, like a rent-a-prisoner. And it was like their loophole way of making slavery legal through this weird loophole. So you find out that Moreau was using them to test out, like trying to create this immortality. And he was taking the energy from these dead prisoners. Wagner's job was to deliver the prisoners to him during the day and then bring them back at night. But in the meantime, he's chatting with Moreau, and Moreau's complaining about like how frustrating it is. It's not going as planned, and that they're resisting him, and he can't seem to bind the energy to himself. And Wagner tells him, I don't know, some weird story that somehow it gets translated into that Moreau should try to transfer the energy into other prisoners instead of into himself. And that's where he starts using the bones to bind them to him, the energy to him, but all the anger and resistance goes to the other prisoners. It sort of makes sense, but then I also am like, I don't know if I'm smart enough for this, because like, it's like when you get to the part of the movie Interstellar at the end, and I'm like, I had you. I was with you until he became little and he was in the bookcase and he's like moving through time, and I'm like, I'm gone. I don't understand what's happening. that math ain't mathin' for me.
I was reading it and I was like, sure, yeah, makes sense. Like, I
I just accepted stuff. I mean,
was like, yeah, use the bones, of course.
yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to make sense, but I
That's
think
what I would have done if I was in that position.
you're like, I totally would have been like, you know what? Bones.
It's common sense.
Well, I'm like, I was trying to like reconcile the fact that you can split the energy. And I don't know, maybe I was thinking too hard into it because I was like, how can you split it? And he's getting like the good part and the bad part's going somewhere else. And then like, what's
Like a
happening to
wishbone,
that?
he always wins, you know?
I don't know. I'll just be honest. I was having a little
I
trouble.
am curious. I am curious because, like, the idea, right, would be that eventually Kane and Helena will be skedaddling. That's the idea. If we're following the Manacled plot line, which it could veer, but if we're doing that, then I'm like, how are we getting the bone out? What do we?
Well, and that's, I
Depends
do.
on where they put it.
I think it's going to come into play. I think that sunstone might come into play. But she's also, I don't know if we have not gotten there yet, but we're getting ready to get there about the obsidian where Helena starts to play with some energy.
He does end up losing a limb, though, doesn't he?
And manacled.
And manacled.
Because he had to cut the Death Eater mark.
Yeah.
He had to cut that off.
Wait a minute. Okay.
lost his forearm.
It's all coming back to
Yeah.
me. Okay.
I don't know.
Man, that's
You
gonna
can
We're
get-
going to find out what she does with this.
Yeah, he had to cut off his arm and manacle.
So,
You would think that he would. Oh yeah. You.
Same story. We don't know that he's going to do that on this one.
We
don't know.
genuinely don't know in this one. It very well could be.
Things are lining up. Like, I think I spoiled because you were asking about the cage. What's the cage for? And I was like, don't you remember his mom? Here we are.
He could very well be putting this little bone fragment on his sternum. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Something's
That
happening.
would make more sense, I feel like. If you really don't want to. Because, they can just trap.
well,
That's what he
the
did.
problem they're discovering, though, is that Moreau was using this binding of the souls, and what he's basically doing is he's using the Undying as a power source for himself and his own immortality, that it really has nothing to do with the immortality of these other people, that he's just
that's why I thought that they were almost like Horcruxes. You know?
well, and I like in my
it's kind
brain
of coming off that way because
Yeah.
when the Undying die,
he dies.
He gets
well,
it,
and
yeah.
I chalked it up to like they're like little Energizer batteries. So when they die, when they go dead, he's dead. So like, because they're his power source.
Yeah, he used his alchemy to contain all the souls inside pieces of his own bones. But if a piece stayed with the prisoner in the array, they could not die, even if they tried. Then Moreau could keep the power. So by them undying, them not being able to die, he keeps their power.
So could Helena technically because I guess they don't technically know where the bone part is. Like I guess Helena
I
could
think
maybe,
the
use
array might have a lot to do with it. Because she asked Wagner to draw the array, but Wagner's not an alchemist, and apparently he's not an artist, and so it's horribly drawn, and she can't interpret it well, other than there's 9 points. And then she's confused by that because everywhere else there's like 5 points or there's 8 points. There's never 9 points, and so she's not sure what this alchemical array is that he used, and she's struggling to make sense of it, but she's trying to work with it to figure out how she can counteract what Moreau is doing, so that way she can save Kane.
He never knew why.
So Ivy is never apprehended. You know that girl's going to show up later. I don't know if she's going to be helpful or a problem, but Ivy's going to show her ass back up.
I feel like this will be a problem for somebody.
She's
Yeah, I don't know.
Girl's she's like a little serpent.
She's a little loose cannon. I love her. I mean, she's crazy, but I love her.
She's like, oh, you didn't read Haunting Adeline. I'm like, what was the little one?
Oh, yeah. What was her name?
That was real crazy.
Molly?
Yeah, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
She
it
was
was Molly
she was
or
a little
Holly.
off a rocker too.
Yeah, she was.
So Penny tells her that that Lila is getting replaced as Luke's primary paladin because she compromised his safety. and then starts talking to her about that Helena used necromancy, and she starts freaking out of like, well, what if it was a test and now they failed because she used this necromancy and they're going to lose the war because of it and they're going to be condemned and all this stuff according to their faith. And Penny's over there just begging her to repent like her sins. Helena in the meantime is kind of irritated because she's like,
But I mean, to be fair, they do lose the war. Like, Penny ain't wrong.
Well, what's funny is in part one, they're like, Helena, you were right all along. And I was like, was she?
But was she? Because y'all lost.
Meanwhile, we have all these things. And meanwhile, Saul is just up there like, not today.
well, Helena does tell her that if she thought it was just about like losing the war and like they just die, she wouldn't care. She'd just be like, whatever, we'll lose the war, we'll just die. But she's like, what they plan to do to us if we lose this war is so much worse than just dying.
Facts.
Facts.
To stick another knife in her, poor Helena, Elaine is named the lead healer at the hospital. And then she's also named Luke's personal healer, which Helena was never given any sort of title while she was in the hospital, despite all she was doing. That also means that Helena has like nothing left to do. So she's just camped out in the lab. But even that isn't like bringing her joy, I guess.
Which I think in the long run, knowing them looking at the paperwork later on, it was actually beneficial because they were like, oh, she just was a healer. And then she wasn't even Luke's personal healer, you
Yes.
know? It kind of protected her in a way.
But she admits in her own mind that what she's really missing is Kane. So then we go into chapter 54. She's going for her weekly drop off with Kane and finds a Necrothal. So she thinks that like Kane's pissed at her or whatever. And so she just shoves the message at the Necrothal and turns to leave. But the Necrothal stops her and calls her name, which freaks her out because Necrothals normally can't talk.
His little PA system.
He's kissing her and he's touching her, but he's using his resonance to constantly check and make sure she's okay. He's just like methodically going over her.
Checking vitals.
Yes, and making sure that she's not injured and that she's okay. Which soon Helena starts doing the same exact thing. But as they're laying together, he's worried over her and she assures him that she's safe and she can't even leave to forage anymore, which she admits was like her last form of freedom and she's really upset about. And you can tell is like upset that he feels like he's taken that from her, but he's also like pleading with her that it's just till the war is over. Like just hang on until the war is over. He knows how much she wants that, but he just needs to keep her safe. She's super bitter because she's like, the war is never gonna end, dude. You keep saying that, but like this is just dragging on for years and years. When is this war gonna end? So Kane offers to just get her out. He's like, I'll just take you somewhere. We'll run away. You can leave. And in the meantime, he gives her daggers, and she thinks it's her original set that he found because they got lost and like washed away in that battle underwater. But then he reveals he had several extra sets made because it was really hard to find somebody who could make titanium daggers. So
he had several made.
he had several made. And then he tells her he wants to see her more and that he's going to signal her with the ring and that Amaris can fly them away. And tells her again that she can use her ring to call him. So the second time he's told her that. In chapter 55, it's revealed that Kane is using that ring a lot. He is wanting to see her all the time. And
Kane
he becomes...
called her often.
He becomes like obsessively worried about her, checking her over every time he sees her from like head to toe, making sure she's okay. But she kind of becomes exactly the same. In fact, she starts like plying him with like kisses and things to like get him to let her check him constantly every time and make sure he's okay too, until he would become impatient with her. He would just constantly tell her, "You're mine," over and over and over again. Luke requested Helena be kept away from both Lila and himself. And when Helena questions Pace about, well, it's good that he's lucid enough to make demands, even though she's hurt that she's being kept away from them. Pace makes kind of an offhand comment that cryptically says, lucid is a word you could use. I'm sure he'll level out again, don't. So again, you get this little hint that like maybe something's a little off about Luke since they brought him back. Meanwhile, Shizio and her continue to do work in the lab, and they actually do create that manacle. And it worked, and this is where they show it works, but there's still some resonance left. And so her little brain's a ticking, and she's like, you know what you could just do? You could just shove a little tube right through there, solve that. And then she kind of freaks out because she realizes that like she's taking it too far. And she also thinks about them using that on Kane later. And so she's like, never mind. You know what? This is good enough. This is great.
Shizio looked so disturbed that Helena realized the reality of what she was proposing beyond its practical.
Helena's ring would begin to burn twice at times, and like a lot. And that was Kane calling her basically to heal him because he was getting nullium shrapnel inside him and he couldn't get it all out. And this was happening often. And the whole time she's healing him, she's thinking, I'm killing you, this is my fault. And when he would be unconscious, she started repeating the same mantra he always repeated to her, which is, I'm going to take care of you. And then in chapter 56, the Undying they've created a nullium bomb that they use. In the meantime, Luke has also taken over leadership from Ilva, who since Luke has come back from his capture has not been doing well health-wise. And so Luke is suddenly apparently doing great after everything he's been through and takes over a leadership role.
Thanks to Elaine.
It's thanks to something.
Just kidding.
Because of the bombings that are happening, Helena's back working in the hospital due to the amount of casualties. Because she's seen a lot of death and she's getting that death energy happening, she starts working with trying to do what the Stone of the Heavens did, which was trap that energy. And she starts working with some different stones and metals and things, and nothing's working to trap that energy until she finally finds some obsidian, and it works. The energy goes into the stone. It doesn't feel quite like the Sunstone, but it's there. She's taking it back to her lab to try to futz with it and figure out if it's working or how it's working, and she finds Lila there instead, and Lila tells her she's pregnant with Luke's baby. And yeah, but I think the bigger was that when Helena's questioning her about how she because the time frames are weird and everything, how do you know you're pregnant? And then she realizes that this whole time Lila has been a Vivimancer. And honestly, I was a little pissed because Lila knew how much shit Helena got for being a Vivimancer, and she didn't say shit.
Well, she said, I'm sorry, I wanted to tell you, but you know what it's been like for you. I couldn't risk that, not with Luke at stake. I couldn't be like you. Fighting's on.
Well, and I kind of interpreted that as she knew that they banish her to just healing, and that's not her thing. She's not good at that. Everything in her life she'd been bred and trained to be a paladin and to protect Luke, and I do get that, but also she didn't stick up for her either.
She didn't want to be disliked. I mean, Helena, they treat her like a witch, she didn't want that negativity. And to be fair, if they found out, I wonder if they would have made her become sterile. I mean, I know that
maybe
Helena did it to protect Luke and join the order and become a healer.
So I didn't even think about that, but you just hinted at something, though, that might be correct. Because here shortly, when she's talking with Pace is shocked that she was sterilized. Because it was a really old school thing. They don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was really surprised that they sterilized her, especially at her age, because she was 17 when they sterilized her. So that makes me think they only did sterilize her because she was a Vivimancer. Not because she was a healer, not because of the faith, or any of those things that they said it was because of. I didn't even think about that, girl. That's smart.
I don't know if Elena's sterilized. Probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, the fact that Paige was surprised, it kind of tracks. Like I feel like they just did it to her because she's a Vivimancer.
Probably. So Helena offers to take care of the pregnancy, but Lila refuses, saying she wants to see if it's going to stick first. And then she convinces her to tell Crowther about it, which she's surprised because she said Luke hated Crowther, said he was kind of icky. With Ilva's health being weird and she's not super trustworthy right now, Helena doesn't know where else to go. They end up in chapter 57. They come up with this like cover story for her, that she's got this bog cough, which was pretty common around that time frame, and that she needed to be quarantined because of her sickness. And they even used their vivimancy to kind of like make it look like she had that. She had like a rash and a cough and all this stuff. So they do that to help hide the pregnancy. In the meantime, this is where Helena, she finds the book, which it happens to be the same book that Cain gives her.
I caught that, yeah.
I caught that too.
But she finds a book on pregnancy in Pace's office. And Pace originally thinks, oh, Helena's gotten herself in the family way. Yeah.
Family way. Isn't that funny how she phrased it? Are you in a family way?
And Helena's like, no, it's not for me. I'm sterilized. And that's where you get where Pace is like,
She's like, wait, what?
we don't do that anymore. Like, that's not a thing. But then you realize how clever Pace actually really is, because then she gives her the book and says, well, Lila will need it. And when Helena's like, how do you know? And she's like, I've been a nurse a long time. It takes that rash a little longer to show up than that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Pace. I've liked her.
I do like Pace.
I
Yeah.
like her.
I think she's another one just doing the best she can. I think she's genuinely a good person in a crappy role.
situation.
She's one of the only ones that really like looks after Helena.
She's always looked after her and always treated her as an equal or even better, and valued what she does there, I feel like.
Yes.
So
You know, and good characters are very few in this book. Like, I hate everybody.
I do hate everybody. So Helena was called into question the warden who was captured, who ends up, you find out, is Mandel, who we also met in part 1. Mandel's the one who's like, and she's the one who put Helena in stasis and like had tried to like cover it up and hide it, and is the one
Umbridge.
it's the one that I'm pretty sure Cain offed, because it's the one that was accidentally assassinated instead of the political person. But
Professor Umbridge. I'll never forget.
she's refusing to answer questions, so they call Helena in. Helena isn't going to torture her, but she's like, I got a different trick up my sleeve. And she uses the animancy that Cain used to go into her mind. It's not as easy as she thought it was going to be, but she's able to get like snippets. And what she ends up seeing is basically the starts of that stasis happening. And she asks her about what that is. And Mandel tells her it's to keep the bodies fresh.
Which is just gross.
So then in
The
chapter...
book is like that. It's very
Gross.
I love it.
In chapter 58, Cain tells her to bring him that obsidian so he can test it. He also admits that the Undying and Moreau have become very paranoid about spies. They're basically overusing Cain. Too much is happening. They're getting suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
So he's not getting a lot of the information that he used to get, because they're keeping things tight to the vest and they're being careful about who they trust. The tower, the alchemy tower, is hit with a bomb, and it has nullium in it, and it spreads through the air. And while there's chaos and she's running around and they're trying to treat and everything else, someone comes up to Helena and says that Mattis, which he is the one that has hated her from the beginning. He's tried to get rid of her. Like, he sits on the
He's like, this is the way.
Right. So Mattis apparently put her in charge of the nullium stuff. And she's being told that she has to go to this up island hospital that's also been hit with this nullium bomb, and that she's in charge over there and has to go. She keeps trying to argue with him. She's like, I can't leave. I'm not allowed to leave headquarters. But they're like, you got orders, you got to go. So she gets there, And Althorn is there, which is a general that went on the rescue mission of Luke with her. Althorn panics when he sees her arrive and says that Farron's going to freak out if he knows she's there and she has to go back. So you find out that someone else knows about her working with Farron, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that, I mean, because he dies during this. So, like,
How did he know?
I'm not sure what the point of revealing that is. I don't know if that's gonna pop up later, but like, I'm not sure why he knew. We don't really get into that or why, but he's trying to get her to go back. Shit's hitting the fan there too. They've been attacked with a Nulium bomb. Because of that, they can't send the Undying in, which is probably good, but they're sending Necrothals in to gather up all the bodies for Moreau to use. And so
stasis.
So they're sending in these hordes of Necrothals that they're getting attacked by. And she decides, Mattis wants me in charge. I'm going to take control. So she starts to evacuate everybody, starts organizing this evacuation, and stays behind to help manage that. And then another bomb goes off. And we go into chapter 59, and Helena wakes up. She's confused and she's injured. She finds a huge piece of metal that's just buried in her chest. She can barely breathe. She manages to stumble her way back to the hospital, but she keeps wanting to cough, but she knows if she coughs, she's probably going to pass out. She finds some laudanum, takes it to try to like take the edge off the pain, but realizes that even though it numbed her some, she's bleeding in her mouth, like she's dying. And she realizes that. She's like, I'm
not going to make it.
And she even knows, even if they got her back now at this point, they're not going to be able to heal her. She's too far gone. So she's kind of like fading in and out, and she sees the Necrothals coming to try to take the bodies, and she screams for them to stop. And one of the Necrothals comes to attack her, and she looks for a weapon, can't really find anything, but she finds the obsidian she had stuffed in her pocket, and she slashes out with it, and it like very easily goes all the way to the bone and just kills it. And she passes out as a ton of Necrothals are just coming towards her. And then when she wakes again, Kane is beside her. He's pale and wide-eyed, just having a hard time with the fact that she's like almost dead. He's gotten her out. She's paralyzed and hooked up to an IV. And he's brought in an entire medical team to save her, like the best doctors he could find. He tells her that he didn't know about the bombing at all because they didn't tell him. And he thought when he found out about it, he was being paranoid. And those were apparently his Necrothals that he sent in. The whole time he's like, she wouldn't be over there. She wouldn't be over there. But he ended up sending his Necrothals anyways. But yeah, he's pissed. Especially when she tries to defend why she was there and what she was doing there. And he again warns her that if something happens to her, he is going to personally raise the entire order or eternal order of the flame or whatever.
Order of the Eternal Flame.
Yeah. And that her survival now is more of a necessity to the resistance than hold fast at this point, because if she dies, they're all gonna die.
I just loved it. He was like, that isn't a threat, it's a promise. Like, oh, if you die, I will kill every single one of them.
Well, and then afterwards, afterwards is wild too, because then she just is like
pissed.
She's pissed, but she's stunned because she realizes what that means. She wrote it in such a way with so few words, it's so impactful and you completely understand, because then Kane immediately says, just looking at her face, he's like, you have to kill me now. Like he realizes he's become this huge liability with what he has said. He asks her what she will do when he's gone, and she realizes that she has nothing left without him and she just kill herself without him there. It sends her into a panic. He just holds her and begs her just to live. And that's all he wants, is for her to live. And that one had me. There was like 2 or 3 scenes in the set of chapters that had me pretty tore up. And that was definitely one of them.
Agreed.
So he ends up getting called back to the city, and he puts Davies, which is his mother's old lady's maid. She's one of the servants that was used to make him an Undying, and he apparently brought her back as a Necrothal. But she's back, but she's different because she's showing no signs of decay, and she's also way more animated, and she has a personality. She knits. She's very cozy. She sits in a little rocking chair.
I love it. That's gonna be us when we turn into zombies. We're just gonna be little knitting and crocheting zombies.
Just baking bread, knitting. Gonna be the coziest zombies there are. So she gets left in charge of her care while he's gone. When he comes back, the medical team isn't there anymore. And Helena asks him if he killed him. He says he couldn't kill him because it would raise too many questions.
An entire medical
It'd be
team.
a little inconvenient.
Yeah. So he ended up making up some story with them that he was keeping her there as a prisoner to just torture her over and over. She kind of gets in this like argument with him. And at this point, I'm like, Helena, shut up. She's like getting in this argument with him about like, I don't want you to kill people for me. He's like, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? Which she gets really upset about and like gasps. And he tries to take it back. And she's like, no, you can't take it back because it's the truth. And I'm like, it is the truth. Like, and you knew it all.
It is the truth.
Cain agrees not to kill the resistance. But he tells her that if something happens to her, he is done. So we've kind of got almost like a Romeo and Juliet situation at this point, because I feel like if either one of them dies, the other one's just going to kill themselves.
Think that if something happens to her, even though he told her he wouldn't do it, he's gonna do it. He's gonna kill
I think he would.
anybody.
Yeah.
It'd be like a murder-suicide situation.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he would like,
Me.
Yeah.
I think he is very much I would burn the world down for her.
Oh, for sure.
Into chapter 60. When she wakes up again, Cain is studying books on anatomy and healing. And he jokes that it's for his life after the war as a healer.
I love it.
And Helena knows it's that he's going to have to like be the one to heal her after the Nullium wears off. But she plays along, and they kind of come up with this like fun dream situation where they're going to open their own practice together and practice healing together, and it's really cute because he's like, do I have any say in this? She's like, do you want one? And he's like, nah.
It's a very Notebook moment.
It is.
That house with blue shutters. The porch that wraps around the whole house.
Where I can sip tea and paint. So she tells him about the obsidian and what happened with the necrothral. And then in the meantime, she's also like really starting to look at her body post injury and realizing the scar that she has and how horrified she is by how bad it looks. She tries to like joke it off, and she jokes with Cain that his scars are prettier than hers. And he says, well, I have a better healer.
It's fair.
So it ends up taking 3 weeks for the Nullium to reduce enough that she can start healing. Helena asks where they are at that point, and he's actually brought her to Spirefell, the country home that she's in part 1. Cain also reveals that he doesn't think Moreau wants Holdfast dead, because he says that if he did, he would have killed him a long time ago. Like, he had plenty of opportunities to kill him.
Luke's gotta be undying then, right?
Luke's got to be... I feel like Luke's something.
Theorizing. Yeah.
Like,
They did something to him.
They did
I-
something
yeah.
to him.
I mean, in the Harry Potter, in Manacled, he just died.
Well, he died in this too,
Technically.
Technically.
But they have undead here. They didn't have that.
Didn't
in Harry
they
Potter.
didn't they reanimate him? I feel like they reanimated him at the beginning. They were talking about how they had reanimated Luke. He's not still reanimated.
I don't know. I can't
We just
remember
know
now.
He died and the war was lost.
It's 4 weeks before Helena can get up and start moving around. And she starts really looking at her scar again. It's so big that it takes her whole hand to even try to cover it. So, like, that's a big old wound she had. No wonder he was panicking.
I mean, was it this way or was it this way?
I don't know.
I mean, it's still pretty harsh no matter which way you do it.
But she worries. She ends up worrying about, you're a girl. She's just a girl. She's worried about how she looks. And she's worried that Cain's not going to want her because she's damaged goods now and has this big ugly scar. And he assures her that he very much still does. And when Helena ends up going back, because she insists she has to go back, even though Kane begs her not to go. He ends up begging her to just not get hurt again. At the hospital, she's been listed as dead for this whole time. So again, she's been gone 4 weeks, a whole month, and been listed as dead. Crowther's the only one who knows she's not dead. He sends her to...
I'm just going to let everyone think that she's dead. I knew she was going to do that.
Pace ends up looking her over and is impressed with the work done on her wound. And then Pace is over there just trying to recruit. She's like, who did this work? We should recruit them. They'd be great in the hospital. We need the help. And then Pace also tells her that Ilva has died in this time frame while
Which
Helena's been gone.
respectfully,
Good riddance.
It's sad because I
Bye-bye.
imagined her as Professor McGonagall.
really?
Yeah.
But,
did.
okay, here's the
I
thing.
did.
So Ilva's dead. Luke is in full control. I would like to remind you that that man just was like, his guts were just out and necrotic. And all of a sudden, he's just
He's fine.
He's not only fine, he's like
doing shit.
shiny.
And I kind of I don't think I even really touched on it that much, but like, because the whole time the war is still ongoing, right? And Luke is leading these battles. They're expanding, because they talk about a little bit how they've almost expanded too much because they're spread too thin. They don't have enough people to cover the area that they've got. So it's actually, even though they feel like they're gaining ground, it's dangerous for them because there's just not enough of them to defend all this land. It's going to make it easier for Moreau and, the other side to fight them because they can't defend these areas that, it's almost better to consolidate and defend a small area that with a lot of people than to spread your people over a ton of area because you can't defend all that. So anyways, Luke seems not to have cared that she was reported dead at all. She tells Crowther about the obsidian.
She's like pretty crappy though, because like despite how you feel about her now, like y'all were supposed to be best friends.
You were supposed to be best friends.
Like,
Gotta go on
there are
it.
people
Go
that
away.
I don't talk to now,
You'd
but
still
if
be
I
upset
found
if
out
something
that they
happened to 'em.
died, like I would still be upset. Mm-hmm. Like,
So she tells Crowther about the obsidian, but that it really needs to be retested to see if it actually works and how it works. So he ends up passing it off to a soldier to try. She also tells Crowther she feels like he is overutilizing Kane, which is putting him at risk. And she makes a new deal. And the deal is basically that if he wants her help with keeping Kane in line, that all orders have to go through her. She has to approve them because they have to keep him alive. So her deal is now, if you want my help, you keep him alive. And Crowther agrees. He reluctantly agrees, but he jokes that, isn't it ironic? I had this exact same conversation with Farron. Yeah. So they've now made identical deals just to keep each other alive. And then before that soldier that they sent the obsidian out with even comes back, there are rumors already reaching them about this miracle weapon that is just super effective. And since the weapon came from Crowther, who has pyromancy, everyone assumed that's what it was developed with, which then reinforces their faith in the religion that like, oh, it was blessed with holy fire. They find out though that the weapon not only killed Necrothals, but it killed leeches. Pretty immediately, Kane summons her right after that, and they have been recalled from combat because someone killed a leech with the obsidian. And he tells her that looks like you finally found a weapon to kill us. In which Helena then realizes like, oh crap, now I've put him at further risk. So then you go into chapter 61, which was our final chapter for this week. And Crowther used her to starts using her to interrogate. She refuses to do torture like what he wants to do. Instead, she continues working with animancy. The more she does that, the more she's convinced she can fix Titus Bayard, which is who she tried to fix before, and he's trapped in his own brain. So Kane ends up getting dispatched to Hevgos on an emergency diplomatic mission with zero warning, and he just leaves. In the meantime, she's like, I'm going to go try to heal Titus. And when she gets there, Luke is there, and he stops her, and he says he doesn't trust her, and he convinces Rhea
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
to turn her away. She's kind of pissed about it, and she ends up finding him in his little tower room and sneaks into his room. And he's in there smoking opium. She tries to talk to him, but she doesn't really get anywhere with him. It takes 2 weeks before Cain comes back, in which he tells her the new have go. I'm not sure how to take it. I guess you can take it as bad as you want to, but he says the new Havgothian have I don't know how to pronounce it.
Goshen?
Sure. Ambassador is partial to my company. Keeping him entertained is my primary responsibility.
Whatever that means.
My brain immediately went to he's either being tortured by him or he's being raped by him. Because the way he just says it.
I doubt it's Cain's sparkling personality.
Yeah, no. I don't think he's whining and dining him. I don't think he's taking him out to dinner.
He could be taking him to the casino and just showing him a good time around the city. I don't know what the businessmen do.
I do.
Could be smoking opium together. I don't know.
Just picture Cain just like, you know what, man? This war. Like, he comes back with drink.
So Moreau has an alliance. He tells her that Moreau has created an alliance with Hevgoss, which is to exchange alchemical research for more soldiers, basically, for more militia. So bad news bears for the Order of the Eternal Flame, because it's now become not just basically a civil war within their own country.
We're adding characters.
Yeah. So he asks Helena what his orders from Crowther is, and he gets suspicious when she tells him there isn't any. He just wants a report. She admits that she made a deal with Crowther, and they argue back and forth. And she says that she doesn't want to fight. And Cain looks her over and realizes how exhausted she is, and he begs her to come and spend the night with him. So you leave chapter 61 with them leaving to go stay the night. Correct? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And he, he says, "Mine, you're mine." He said,
Mine.
Always. That
So much mine.
classic line, always. Lots of people have that tattooed on them right now.
And for some of them, it wasn't always.
I have to say, the set of chapters so far has been the most emotionally devastating of the sets of chapters that we've had.
Yes.
If you're looking for an upper, folks, this might not be it.
This ain't it.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm sorry. It was the listener's choice. Blame
You
yourself.
voted for it.
You only have yourselves to blame. So we will be finishing next week the final chapters of Alchemized, along with our review, our star rating. Spoiler, it will probably be 5 stars. She's gonna have to go real wrong for it to not be 5 stars.
We also need to talk about what our theories are for the movie.
Oh, for the movie, yeah. Because I feel like this is
Because
tracking.
this got picked up for a film.
I think it was the biggest the biggest money amount ever paid. It was like 7 figures for rights. But we in our group chat, we had texted about it a little bit, and I think we were kind of all on the same page. I think it's going to be really difficult to do this justice.
I feel like this should be, because it's so
They're
big.
going to need to make this a trilogy.
Well, it should be a series, because this is...
If they're going to do it in movies, then
I will say it's part one. There's 3 parts, so I think you could make it into a trilogy. And I just don't think you can cover this whole book. And even if you made it a 3-4 hour movie,
it's going to
feel rushed. And this doesn't feel rushed.
Let's talk about this. Each one of our episodes has been 2+ hours, and that's for every 20 chapters.
Yeah, and it's just a recap, and I still don't feel like we covered everything.
Exactly. So, I mean...
yeah, the movie's going to be
It's going to have to be at least...
I wonder, they haven't released anything about the rights. So you have a couple different ways rights can be sold. One is you can just get the rights, which means, so like if Catherine, you wrote a book, I can say, here's some money. I get the intellectual property. I can do whatever I want with that, my interpretation of that intellectual property. The other way you can do it is you can negotiate some different deals, and part of that negotiation would be that you have some creative control, and there's different levels of creative control that you can have.
Yeah. This is one of those that's going to be really difficult.
So I'm curious to
If
see
they
if
screw up the first movie, that's it. They won't
I'm curious
be able
to see if they
continue.
kept any sort of creative control when they signed over the rights to this. Or it's going to be a very tough one. I'm excited for it to be a movie or a series of movies, but I'm also scared because I'm heavily invested. I love this book. I'm heavily invested in this
We're
book.
going to the movies.
We're going to the movies. We're bringing cake. I sent you that thing.
We're getting a big old bucket of popcorn.
Well, we're going to another movie theater that has the nice recline seats and where you can order from your.
We're
Get
gonna have
alcohol.
One of
Have
those
your
like before and
alcohol.
after things. Like this is me before watching Alchemised in theater.
And then
This
after.
is me after.
I feel like with how I'm having to do my headphones because my headache tonight, my hair looks like that. I probably could have done it before and after. And it's like, this was me before the podcast.
I think you look fantastic.
Thank you.
Anywho,
See you guys tomorrow. I'll be
Yay!
back tomorrow.
so excited.
So, all right, guys. Well, we will see you next week for the final episode of Alchemized. Hang on tight. Bye, everybody.